Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It is me, your girl BrittReacts, and today we're gonna react to another video of Extinct Zoo. And I don't know what I was thinking when I put this on my filming schedule, but I'm terrified. I want y'all to know I'm terrified. I am mortified of spiders, and just the title of this alone. Anyway, this is Prehistoric Australia was pure nightmare fuel from Extinct Zoo. And wait, I need a second. I don't know if I can do this. Can I watch this video? Okay, hold on. Wait. Can I? Okay. I'm going to do this. Am I going to do this? I'm like genuinely scared of spiders, guys. And I just know there's going to be like a giant horrific spider in this. Okay, wait. I don't think. Okay, I'm back. I had to give myself a little pep talk. God, this has like never happened to me. This is unprecedented, and I am like mustering. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all what I did. I paused and I scanned through the timeline. You know how you can like scan through the timeline like all the way to the end to make sure there wasn't like, it's really the giant spider thing that I don't know if I can handle, but I didn't see one. And so I think I'm going to be okay. But if I crash out and y'all don't hear from me for a few days, know that this video may have unalived me. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm a big girl. It's on a computer screen. It is not here in my filming studio. I'm okay.
That are fatal to humans. On top of this, it is home to 20 of the 25 most deadliest snakes in the world, including all of the top 11.
Snakes don't bother me.
And it's the native country of one of the only birds known to occasionally kill humans.
What is that?
The cassowary. Meanwhile, you also have the classics like the saltwater crocodile, great white shark, spiders, and potent jellyfish.
Okay, I closed my eyes.
And in case you needed a little more proof that Australia really is the land of nope, you should know that it's where some of the largest insects in the world call home, is one of the few places where pine cones can kill you, and is where the top 3 largest wildfires in the 21st century took place. The list could go on and on, but you get the idea.
Are y'all okay?
So it may be hard to stomach place.
What?
The list could go on and on, but you get the idea.
Is that? This is a lie, right? This is an edit. Crocodunky? I am unwell. I'm so sorry. Some of you probably already clicked out of this video because I'm like literally crashing out. Australia, are y'all okay? Like, are y'all okay? Do you need to be rescued? Not saying that America needs to rescue you, because baby, we might not have giant spiders and croc donkeys, but we got some humans that are venomous and lethal. So, but are y'all okay?
In the 21st century took place. The list could go on and on, but you get the idea. So it may be hard to stomach the fact that Australia is actually much more tame than it used to be. And I'm not talking about the fact that it used to be home to dinosaurs, but rather giant monitor lizards and terrestrial crocodiles, just to name a couple. And surprisingly, you don't even have to travel that far back to arrive at this forsaken Australia, as it reached its peak in chaoticness about 50,000 years ago, which is right around when humans first arrived. Talk about good timing. Back in those days, reptilian predators, not mammalian, ruled Australia. And it wouldn't take long for anyone to realize that something was very wrong once they set foot on land, as there were a host of nightmarish creatures wandering around. One being a literal land croc. Not a crocodile lookalike, but a genuine real crocodilian that happened to run comfortably on land. This creature was known as the Quincana, and it was one of Australia's top predators during the Pleistocene. It shared—
First of all, her name is ghetto. Quincana. I promise you there's someone on this planet named, there's a couple Quincanas, and not because they're named after this land crocodile. Oh, okay, I'm fine as long as there's no arachnids. I'm fine.
And it was one of Australia's top predators during the Pleistocene. It shared many features with the crocodiles we know of today, and was once even considered a true crocodile. Although, thanks to a very odd skull structure, it was moved to the extinct clade of Megalania. Along with the odd skull, paleontologists also noticed that it had some strange legs as well.
It's like a
that
frog
were
leg.
very long for a crocodilian, allowing it to keep its body clear of terrain and potentially sprint. This has led to it being considered a terrestrial predator.
So I wonder if they look like were walking on water, if they were coming out of the water because their legs are so long. That is terrifying. Imagine that thing sprinting towards you.
Potentially sprint. This has led to it being considered a terrestrial predator, with further evidence coming from its hoof-like toes and flat tail, which wasn't designed for swimming. Unfortunately for all land dwellers, the Quincana was also no small critter, with most adults measuring 3 meters or 10 feet and weighing 200 kilograms or 440 pounds, making it nearly identical in weight to a medium-sized American alligator. Not to worry though, as there were larger individuals as well, with one specimen reaching 6 meters or 20 feet in length. At this size, it had no problem taking down mammals, including an unlucky human from time to time. Getting attacked by this croc was an absolute nightmare, as its teeth were designed to slice animals up like a filet mignon, with each tooth being blade-like, compressed, and heavily serrated. These kind of teeth are referred to as xiphidon teeth, and is what was commonly seen in theropods. Having such vicious dentition let the Quincana take down animals that were considerably larger than itself, with each bite tearing through large portions of flesh.
Who gave that thing a lack of ram? A lack of ram. My brain is got to recover from the opening of this video. A lack of ram. Y'all are literally in real time watching me crash out. A lack of ram is what I meant to say. I don't know if it's lamb, but it's somebody's ribs, and that is clear. The ribs belong to an animal. I'm not well.
Considerably larger than itself, with each bite tearing through large portions of flesh and muscle. There's a chance as well that you couldn't even outsmart this croc by jumping in the water, as there is some evidence that it was an accomplished swimmer, in spite of spending most of its life on land. Shockingly, or maybe by this point, unshockingly, even a terrestrial croc that could swim and had dinosaur-like teeth wasn't safe from other Australian creatures, as there was also the largest known terrestrial lizard walking around, Megalania. There's a fair chance you've heard of this reptile due to its recent popularity. Yet, you may not have heard that it's no longer known as the Megalania, rather Varanus priscus, meaning it was actually a giant species of monitor lizard. Despite this classification change, the Megalania is
I'm not. Okay. I am going to pull myself together. I was just about to say this looks like a, is it Komodo dragon? And then I looked down at the timeline and it says Komodo dragons the size of rhinos. Think about that for a second. Think about the zoo and walking around you see a Komodo dragon. Think about a rhino. Think about the two fused together. No.
She's a monitor lizard. Despite this classification change, the Megalania is still usually referred to by its original name. Perhaps because it's much more fitting as it translates to the Great Roamer, a nod to its massive size, and massive it was. Paleontologists never seem to agree on the exact measurements, but all estimates have given it a length of at least 3.5 meters or 11 feet, with an approximate weight of 158 kilograms or 348 pounds. So at the minimum, we are talking about a lizard that was as long as a sea lion and as heavy as a reindeer. And at its maximum, things frankly got crazy, with studies finding it to have potentially obtained lengths of up to 7.9 meters or 26 feet, which is based on fragmented remains that were scaled up to living monitor lizards. This would have made them just as lengthy as the longest recorded anaconda, but 8.5 times heavier due to its robust build, with an absolute maximum weight of 2 tons. However, for the most part, large Megalania were probably no more than 575 kilograms, 1,200 pounds. Although it wasn't only a giant, as like living monitor lizards, the Megalania possessed razor-sharp teeth that were fairly long and recurved, granting extra grip while holding onto prey. The Megalania is further thought to have used its tremendously powerful legs and sharp claws to bring down prey and foe alike. Naturally, in true Australian fashion, the Megalania might have been venomous as well due to its heritage, since all monitor lizards presently living are considered to be venomous. Their venom, similar to what is seen in some snakes, works as an anticoagulant,
the close-ups?
Meaning it prevents blood from clotting, which leads to shock and infections as it keeps wounds open for longer periods of time. And because the Komodo dragon, also known as the Komodo monitor, is the Megalania's closest living relative, certain paleontologists believe that the two shared similar hunting tactics of biting prey, retreating, and then letting the venom do the work. So that's to say, even if you managed to get away from an attacking Megalania, you would still be doomed. All of these attributes make Megalania feasibly the worst thing you could have run into. Unless that is.
So this, I just want to be clear, because he mentioned humans, but I can't remember. Did he say these specific animals we're talking about right now were before humans, or humans were also cohabitating the land at the same time? Because if so, no.
These attributes make Megalania feasibly the worst thing you could have run into. Unless that is, you have ophidiophobia, a fear of snakes. In this case, your mortal enemy back then would have been Wonambi. This name may not sound like much, but it should strike fear into any who hears it, as it belongs to a now extinct giant serpent that lived right alongside both the Quincana and Megalania. This snake is unlike any we know of today, for it belonged to a family of now extinct snakes known as the Matsoidae. Snakes from this family were primarily characterized by somewhat inflexible primitive jaws and giant sizes, with the Wonambi being one of the biggest. It didn't quite reach the length of the longest living snakes of today, but came awfully close, with the larger specimens having a length of 6 meters or 20 feet, equivalent to a large Burmese python. Luckily for us, the Wonambi did break the Australian trend of possessing venom. Nevertheless, its size still rendered it a potent killer, who might have hunted in a very similar fashion to the extant constrictor snakes, which is to say, by using ambushes near bodies of water to strike unsuspecting prey that were then killed by tightening its muscles and squeezing the animal so hard that blood couldn't reach their brain or heart, thus incapacitating them. Afterwards, though, is where things got different. Because as mentioned, the Wonambi had an inflexible and somewhat smaller head that couldn't swallow prey whole. This may sound like a good thing for prey, but in reality, it just made the snake more nightmarish. As to make up for this inability, it would simply use its sharp teeth and powerful body to tear chunks off prey, sometimes even disemboweling them. Such an unpleasant way to go out may have been more common for early Australians than being preyed upon by the Megalania or Quincana, as one study found that in some indigenous populations today, snake attacks by constrictors are a common cause of death. By now, it would be reasonable for you to wonder how any mammal could survive living with so many reptilian horrors. And the answer is, the mammals were just as crazy. Best exemplified by the Thylacoleo. This mammal is best known for its immense size, with adults being the largest known mammalian predators to ever live in Australia. On average, specimens were about the same size as a European wild boar, while the largest Thylacoleo were on par with fully matured female lions and tigers, with whom it also shared a few characteristics. Yet, this was no feline. Far from it, actually, as the Thylacoleo was really a marsupial mammal that is most closely related to the koala. And like the koala, it's thought that the Thylacoleo had a smaller brain. However, in its case, a smaller brain was a huge advantage, as it gave the skull more space for extremely dense muscles and wide, sturdy bones. That ultimately led to the strongest bite, pound for pound, of any known mammal. It's been estimated that a medium-sized Thylacoleo was capable of biting with the same force as a lion 2.5 times its size, leading paleontologists to suspect that this marsupial was capable of taking down big-bodied prey that were 15 times heavier than itself, and it likely did so in an extremely unique fashion, thanks to its dentition, which consisted of large incisors that were similar
This is nuts to look at. The skull here.
In a unique fashion, thanks to its
like, look at the size of the four front teeth. Okay, this is not funny, but it is funny. But if you watch 1,000 Pound Sisters on TLC or Max as I stream it, you know, Amy and Tammy. And the most recent season, Amy got bit by a camel. And it literally gouged her and her fat was spilling out. And it's like, I don't know off the top of my head what a camel's teeth looks like, but imagine if that thing pierced her arm. It would have, like, the two top and the two bottom teeth would have just met right in the middle of her arm. Oh my, the fact that that's what I thought about should tell you the type of person that I am. I'm very unserious. But truly, look at that. It's horrific.
Itself. And it likely did so in an extremely unique fashion, thanks to its dentition, which consisted of large incisors that were similar to the elongated canines seen in other mammals. Furthermore, it boasted giant premolars that almost resembled flat blades. Together with its powerful muscles, these bizarre teeth worked wonders, killing animals by piercing deep into the flesh with the incisors, while the premolars severed the poor animal's windpipe, spinal cord, and arteries, causing all sorts of fatal problems. This mode of killing was so efficient that researchers think it took less than a minute for this marsupial lion to kill large prey, while the same task for an African lion can take up to 15 minutes or more. And for whatever reason, if its bite didn't do the trick, the
that
15 minutes.
That right there, the lion trying to, like, it's like the hippo skin looks like it's so thick. And even with the lion's insane teeth, like, how long does it take to actually penetrate through that skin? And then, I mean, we've seen the muscle on a hippo thanks to the internet. How much of that do you, oh, Jesus. Okay.
Or more. And for whatever reason, if its bite didn't do the trick, the Thylacoleo had lethal claws as well. On each of its front feet, there was a single large retractable claw that was attached to semi-opposable thumbs. This implied it can move these claws around with ease and dish out killing blows if needed. These additional weapons were also hooked, leading to the idea that Thylacoleo was a climber who possibly dragged kills up trees like leopards do. Climbing further allowed it to navigate caves and rough terrain, adding another layer of complexity to this already overpowered marsupial. And so with all of this said, Australia had no doubt some pretty terrifying predators all around, making life fairly interesting for the first humans to arrive. And for them, they wouldn't even be able to find peace around the herbivores. As in response to biological killing machines, the herbivores got pretty ferocious themselves. A good demonstration of this is the Diprotodon, an extinct marsupial whose closest living relative is the wombat. The two also did look in some ways similar, except unlike the wombat, the Diprotodon was massive, plausibly weighing up to 3.85 tons, which makes it equal in weight to a fully grown Asian elephant. This size gave it much needed durability and would have made hunting it a questionable endeavor, a task further discouraged by the presence of a surprisingly strong bite. The Diprotodon was strictly a vegetarian,
look at the little baby
but nonetheless, it still had a nasty bite that reached 11,000 newtons in.
This vegetarian is a herbivore, right? Look at me. No, is that right? Oh, what is this? Y'all, you have probably watched the most unhinged video I've ever created if you've gotten this far. Right? The animals that eat plants only are herbivores.
In force at the back molars, giving it more than enough power to technically break a human's femur. In addition to elephant-sized wombats, birds too were supersized in prehistoric Australia at the time, especially the Genyornis. This ancient bird resembled the once widespread terrorbirds. However, it actually belonged to a separate family of flightless birds, known as the Dromornithidae, or thunderbirds.
Let's just be clear. Any bird that can't fly is pissed. It's pissed off and leave it alone. They're not happy because they have wings, but they cannot use them in the way they want to. So they're pissed, and you would be pissed too. So leave them alone. Don't walk up to them. Don't try to feed them. Nothing. Leave them alone.
Birds, known as the Dromornithidae, or thunderbirds. All members of this family, Genyornis included, are believed to have been herbivores despite their menacing appearances. Though, like many ancient Australian creatures, they did have size to help balance their defenses out. The Genyornis in particular routinely grew to heights taller than humans, with the average individual coming in at 2 meters or 6.5 feet. Moreover, this bird had giant robust bones that gave it durability and heftiness, resulting in it weighing a full quarter of a ton. And if its size wasn't enough of a deterrent, the Genyornis could always use its beak or sharp claws to ward off predators that got too close. By now, it should be obvious that ancient Australia was the last place you'd want to visit. And just to
current Australia is the last place actually Australia is like always, like since a child, been somewhere I wanted to visit. But since I found out about the wildlife and the spiders that can just show up in your home at any moment, I am terrified. So both in the past, in the present, and probably in the future, I am terrified.
Now, it should be obvious that ancient Australia was the last place you'd want to visit. And just to really drive it all home, remember that nearly every dangerous animal in Australia today was also still around back then. And that's not to mention other extinct animals which I didn't mention, including large turtles and additional extinct crocodilians like the Prehistoric. And of course, nature itself was also harsh with extreme droughts being present. And yet, despite all of these odds, humans still survived in Australia. In fact, not only did they survive, but they managed to thrive and dominate the lands, with evidence showing that they preyed upon multiple of the megafauna mentioned today, suggesting that maybe we were actually the scariest animals around during those times.
That's a
Thanks for watching, and until next time on Extinct Zoo.
message right there. All right, I survived, but I am not thriving, and so I gotta go get my life together. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was so chaotic. Have the day you deserve.